Help Action Needed, a D&D podcast. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Help Action Needed, a D&D podcast. My name is Sean Hardy, and I shall be our dungeon master for today's story, but first let's go ahead and introduce our cast.
Hi, I am Kate Pizarczyk-Johnson, and I play Nori.
I'm Dan Johnson, and I play Cass.
I'm Julie Perez, and I play Frog.
Nice. The last time we left our party, they were coming back from kind of a rough day. It wasn't that rough of a day for Frog or for Nori, but for Dan, met up with Cassiopeia Galilee and had a little conversation about how secrets can be shared and how, despite one's intentions trying to be hidden, it's quite hard to hide from someone that seems to know everything about everyone. Cass went back to the house and told Frog the rather concerning secret that Cassiopeia thinks that Frog looks quite familiar. Whether it's Frog herself or her mother, who she's been told her entire life looks quite similar to her, nobody can say for certain. Frog, feeling a bit rough about this, decided to go to bed a little early, but they all kind of thought, it might be best to leave town tomorrow because we're not in a great spot. Frog, going up to bed, sent a letter off to Julian telepathically and heard that it was supposed to be a surprise, but as he could tell, his dear friend was a little upset about things, that Dolly O'Toole, captain of the Dolly O'Toole, will be coming to visit tomorrow as a surprise for Frog, as she's not seen her recently and Frog's not been the best about communicating. Has tried a bit, but Dolly's definitely sent more letters than Frog has, and we come back together now in the morning after, as all of you would probably be coming down the stairs, unless any of you feel the need to continue mourning, hiding, being terrified, whatever you may feel. But I turn it now to you players, the morning after that night.
So Cass beats everyone downstairs because, much like Thomas the Train Engine, he is going to try until he gets this right, and he is making breakfast once again.
Make a nature check. I feel like that works for cooking.
Nature.
Yeah. Unless, Julie, you're making a face, you got something better?
No, just an interesting thought, but I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, it's putting things together. Anyway.
It is slowly getting better. I rolled a 5.
Hey, that is 6 points better than last time. Good job, yeah. It's not good by any stretch of the imagination, but there is. Are you making enough to subject everyone to it, or is this more for you?
Knowing it's not good, Cass is going to have the food made, and it's just going to be on plates. Like, I imagine there's like a little like island or like counter type thing. It's going to be on the counter rather than on the table. So if people want to subject themselves, they can. It's not forced.
Okay. Yeah. I think after Cass, the next to wake up would probably be the brothers, as they're used to getting up early for training. And they're going to politely eat, because they're polite. They got a 15 and a 7 on the die, which becomes a higher than a 10. So they beat the con save to not make a face. I'm like, yeah, thanks for cooking. It's nice of you. I think on that, whoever would be up next can come down as the brothers are keeping down what Cass has prepared.
Frog would probably come down next since she's rather excited about hearing the news that Dolly is coming. So she'll probably come down the stairs, see the food on the counter, and head over. She'll look at Cass, and then look back at the food, and then look at Cass again, and slowly pick up the plate. And she'll take a bite, discovering that it's not the best, but it is better than last time. She'll give Cass like a little thumbs up, but kind of like a it's all right thumbs up, and then she'll share with Cass that Dolly is coming.
Sort of seeing the lack of reaction from the brothers and the interesting reaction from Frog, Cass is going to reassure himself that the food's not good, but at the news to Dolly, just sort of like looks up and has like a puzzled look as to, oh, and with that, just sort of turns back to Frog. Did you learn this last night? And do we have plans?
Yes. Frog will say that she learned about it last night. She communicated with Julian, and he let her know. I don't know. What if he has said where she was meeting us? Probably not, right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So Frog will say, I don't know when she'll be here or where, but she's gonna be here.
Yeah, I think you would all know the only spot that a ship like that could land is like that off the official beach area, where like it's not like right on the sandbar where it's manicured, but where you all went for lunch like that first day. Somewhere in that area is the only spot a ship of her size could really land without marooning itself.
Okay. So Frog would suggest that area and maybe say that we should go there today.
Understood. And despite the conversations yesterday and the reservation, Cass, knowing what Frog sort of has just been going through, knows better than to question this and just is like, okay, let's wait for Nora to get down and we'll sort of see what we want to do. And with that, just in general, where we are compared to where like the ships would dock and just sort of be in the area, how far away are we? Like from our house, can we see where the docks are roughly, or is it far away
No.
at this point?
It's like a 20-minute walk. It's not far, but you can't see it. There's also a lot of
Gotcha.
other buildings in the way.
Okay.
Like if it was flat land, you could see the beach, but you're in a city that's built up pretty high.
Okay. Understood.
In the middle of the conversation, Nori will have woken up and walked down and seen the brothers, assumingly still eating, and Frog and Cass in the middle of this conversation about Dolly. And she'll come down and say, "Wow, Cass, you made breakfast again!" And she will attempt to also eat whatever Cass made and have a smile on her face and maybe lie through her teeth if applicable.
Yeah, I mean, we've established it's not good. Do you want to try and convince Cass it is?
I want to try and convince Cass to Fey taste buds. It tastes a lot better than maybe on typical humanoid taste buds.
That's going to be deception for sure, so go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way you could argue that that is persuasion. That is a straight up deception check.
In this instance, I can guide myself, or is it noticeable to Cass?
It would be noticeable to Cass. You can do it, but
Right.
like you all
Nope.
do this all day long, he would recognize it immediately.
Yep, nope, I'm not gonna do that. Okay, hold on. Let me roll it in my thing. I can't tell if that was a 5 or 15. One more time for the road. 8.
Okay. Cass, what's your passive insight?
Give you 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
You said passive insight.
Yeah, your insight plus 10.
You mean insight modifier plus 10?
Yeah.
It says passive insight is a 9.
Okay. Yeah, even as you're distracted, you still know Nori is straight up lying to you.
And again, just beating a dead horse at this point. Cass just smiles and nods, knowing full well, again, the food is not good. He's well aware. He appreciates the attempt at kindness by everyone, but he knows. He's well aware, and he's just smoking a pipe over in the corner, just sort of letting the morning proceed.
Frog, as you're sitting there eating, excited, you just hear in your head, you seem real excited. Who's Dolly?
Oh yeah, I forgot we have friends who don't know who Dolly is. Frog will tell... God, why can't I keep the two of them straight? Seth? Okay. Frog will tell Seth that Dolly is someone that they met at the beginning of their journey a while back. Actually, not that long ago. Has it been like a month?
Or about 3 months ago.
3 months? Okay. And that we worked a little bit for her, and she's like this crazy, amazing pirate who can do all these crazy things that are really cool. And also, is she my girlfriend?
You've all never had the talk.
Yeah, we have not had the talk. Oh my goodness. Well, I guess she's my situationship. I don't know.
Oh. That's pretty cool. You would think if you're gonna, like, leave for 2.5 months, you'd kind of figure that out. But I mean, that's on you. You live your life. I'm excited to meet her. And then,
I feel judged by Seth.
yeah, I mean, that's fair. Seth is old. Like, Seth also has never in his life had a romantic relationship, so
True.
Seth does not understand why you would be confused, and Seth has also just been a ghost for a long time. So
That's also true.
yeah.
And while this is happening, Cass is just like in the kitchen watching no one talk, but Frog just giggle out of nowhere for like really no given reason and does not even give it a second thought. He's like, yeah, that's normal. That's par for the course.
And Nora, you a couple times now have said you wanted to bring it up at the right time. Does this feel like the right time, or is this still a later situation?
Let's do it now. Yeah, I'll bring it up. So having also noticed that like small interaction, Nori will kind of look at Frog and say, hey Frog, do you hear somebody else in your head potentially? Other than just, people sending messages? Is someone else talking to you? Having looked at Seth also the entire time too, between both of them.
Frog is just gonna look at Seth again and be like, is it okay if I tell her?
I kind of assumed you would have already. Elto knows. He's known since the day it happened.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know. I didn't know if you would be okay with it.
You all watch for about 12 seconds. Nothing comes out of Frog as she just stares at Seth for a while.
And while this is
Making
going on, Maury will verbally say, so, I think my suspicions are correct.
Frog will then turn to Nori and be like, yeah, we are able to talk to each other. It just kind of happened a little while ago, and it's been nice to be able to talk with him. And she'll say, I wasn't hiding it from you, I just didn't really think to tell you.
That's
That's
rather
okay.
a strange
Don't worry
thing
about
to forget to tell someone. I mean, I knew, but I would assume others would know. Do you often keep secrets from each other when you're traveling?
No. I didn't really think that was a secret, though.
So at this point, is this being said out loud, or are we just hearing?
No, Elto
like,
is asking Frog, is it
Okay.
a secret that you are talking to my brother, who only I have been able to talk to for a while?
And at that point, Cass is going to interject and be like, yeah, Frog, do we keep secrets very often?
I don't think so. Do you keep secrets very often, Cass?
Cass just looks up. Absolutely. And be like, no judgment here. I was more just curious.
Good.
So, that being said, that's good to know. So is this just something that you guys innately can do going forward? Like, this does seem like it would have its advantages for sure.
Yes, Frog is going to explain that because of maybe Ghost Mom in her body, that she can talk with Seth because of that.
And Cass,
Nori
you would
having
know it's the same way that Frog will project her mind into yours on occasion. Having been the only other one here that's had that happen, I think you'd be intimately familiar with the concept.
No, and that's what I was going for. It's just more, is that a constant thing more than anything at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Before moving on to any other conversation, Nori will just, like, wide mouth while trying to eat whatever Cass cooked, say, "Dead mom living inside you, what? That's normal?" And just look at Cass and be like, "You just completely blew over that point." Just putting that out there. And just, like, look dead-faced at
Frog
Frog and
cuts
say,
you off mid-sentence and goes, for once I agree with Nori. That was moved through rather quickly, and I don't want her tangent to distract us from her actual good point. That was moved through rather fast.
So Cassiopeia kind of like murdered my mom, which we all know. And then her spirit just kind of like zooped into me? Question mark. So I think that might be what's happening, but I don't really know 100%.
And at this point, Cass is looking at Nori. Is Nori doing anything?
Nori would have dropped the bowl of food that she was eating on the ground or on the table, and just kind of like staring at Frog in awe of what she's saying, but have yet to speak words yet.
And sort of seeing the awestruck face, Cass just tap her like on the shoulder, just gently, and be like, "Write that down. Write that down. You write down every other thing that happens. Write it down."
With that, Nori will do like a little shake out of it, pull out the notebook and say, "Dead mom equal go into human body, question mark? Normal human thing, question mark?"
And I think it's with that awkward conversation that you all probably would be wrapping up breakfast, and trying to determine what you would do for the rest of the day, if there's anything you want to try and get done in town before you head to maybe see if Dolly showed up. Nothing in town is against any of you. The only person that knows any of your secrets is Cassiopeia, who said, "I'm not going to reveal them unless you give me a reason to." And Cass is still technically an enrolled student of the university during a trial period, so if there's anything to kind of save face you all want to do, the morning is yours, or you can head straight to the beach. It's fully up to you all.
We had mentioned potentially going to the library. Maybe we can stop there real quick before we head to the beach?
Works for Frog.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I have to
thing.
go wake up Frog King real quick and get him. So
Yes.
Frog will do that before we leave, because I would be sad if he was abandoned.
Yes, as you head off to grab Archimedes, what sort of things, again, are you hoping to find in the library?
I would like to see if we can find any more information on Dimitri Blaine,
Okay.
or like history of the war, specifically information regarding the end of the war, anything we can maybe find on his staff.
Yeah.
And it's
None of that would
been
be too hard. So we'll say that you all grab Archimedes, head on out. Are you checking out of the house, or are you like still? The house is in your name for another 2 days. Are you like officially checking out, or you're just kind of gonna leave it abandoned for a bit?
I vote leave it abandoned for a bit. Only because then if word gets back to Cassiopeia that we kind of just yeeted after her conversation with Cass, I feel like that might draw a little bit more suspicion, just being overly precautious, but that could just be Nori.
Then yeah, you all are able to go to the library without issue. I'll have all 3 of you make a investigation check.
Oh man, I'm not very smart.
Brothers help out as well. See if they can do anything for it. No. They have many strengths. Research is not one of them.
18.
Okay.
21.
12.
With your 18 and Cass, your 21?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The two of you, Cass especially, you have access to the whole library. You don't need to try and find resources of, like, the public-facing front. You can go, and you could probably take Frog with you as, like, a research assistant or whatever. Nobody in town is really entirely sure what the purpose of the rest of them are here, because your first day you said, oh, they were just escorts that got me here, and they're still kind of here, 3 days later, but it's not the weirdest thing that while you're still not technically a student, for them to be guiding you around town. So you could take Frog rather easily into the student section. Nora, you'd probably stand outside with the brothers, especially knowing that right now none of the three of you have the greatest rep with the student body. So probably staying out in the like public area where not much is really to be found. But those of you going into the student center would find a lot of info on the end of the war. You would know that it was mainly done when Wyndham Cloudvale, who is the current king and Dion's father, was able to strike up peace treaties between the like different parts of the countries, between the druids, between all of the tribes, and kind of point out the whole like, listen, we're literally destroying each other. We need to come together a bit more. And that was kind of the start of the peace talks there, which is common knowledge all of you would know. But the things that you kind of really find are not first-hand accounts, but like they're interestingly worded. Whereas the last major act of the war was Dimitri's execution of several people at once through a giant necrotic wave. And it was not that quick after that necromancy became illegal that some of the old clerics went and just did some casual speaking with dead on some of the fallen soldiers there to kind of figure out what was happening. So you find books of their first-hand accounts of just like how, like, he was clearly some powerful mage, but that like it didn't matter what side they were on, whether they were druidic, whether they were fey, whether they were human. Everyone that was not standing behind him was just kind of taken out in one fell swoop, and that the land itself, and as you've seen to this day, is still tainted. It was what we would call a violation of the Geneva Convention, but it was enough to end the war, and it was also that Speak with Dead, the ones that weren't completely gone, were becoming the first residents of Morendo, the city that's probably only a day or two sail north of you, where the undead continue to live on with their own democracies and policies in place because it was not fair to them to be offed again simply because they were used for information. So I think that's what you all would find.
Follow-up question from lady in the back. Do we know what happened to Dimitri Blaine once the war was over?
He was arrested for war crimes, but beyond that, I don't think anyone would know. And you don't find it in here. And it's not war crimes, because he was one of the chiefs, but like, most of the chiefs were given a lordship title. Predominantly, like, the lords of the land are the chiefs that had that land prior to the start of the war. He's not a lord anywhere, and he's not someone that has any titles attributed to them post-war.
And follow-up question to that. Do we know for sure, and my brain's just not doing it correctly, that the reason necromancy was like outlawed or frowned upon is because of what happened with Dimitri Blaine? Or it's just after a couple months after the war ended, necromancy kind of...
It was a pretty clear cause and effect of, yeah, the other schools of magic can do a lot of stuff, but not many of them can do that.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. I will say, also on that 21 history or investigation, we can kind of also tie in, there's not a region, like, not only is there not a region named for him or that he is lord of, I don't think any of you would know much about his tribe either. So, if that also helps you fill in what may happen with them, he and his people kind of are not around. Maybe they didn't sign the peace treaty, maybe they weren't invited, but they are not people that are part of the Common Concord.
And you're talking about Dimitri Blaine specifically. There's no area named for him.
No area name for him, and no one that has his title or anything. So,
Okay.
I'll say that takes you all probably like an hour to do that level of research into different things. Nori, not finding anything, is there anything you would try and take the brothers to do while the others are researching?
No, because Nori knows that if she makes one wrong move, she's really gonna fuck shit up, and she doesn't want to fuck shit up any more than she already has. So maybe they'll just sit in the courtyard and Nori will teach them a Fae game she played growing up.
Yeah. And that will draw no attention because it's not flaunting your religious symbols or using trickery magic in the public eye. You are perfectly fine to teach them a game. Yes, then about an hour later, Cass and Frog come back from the restricted area and are able to meet up with you outside and share any information of that they would like to.
Yeah, Cass will just sort of discreetly debrief.
Mhm.
Not Frog, Nori specifically, just about what was found and the lack of sort of title for Dimitri Blaine following the war, and how there's not really anything allocated to him, and just the other information as well about the war, how it ended, that kind of thing, and sort of see if that addresses what she was trying to find specifically.
Nori will take the information and tell Cass that she'll get back to him, but we'll need some more time to kind of think and mull it over.
Alright, cool.
And then looking to the group, I'm assuming around this time it's more like mid-morning / afternoon at this point.
Yeah, it'd be around 10 or 11, depending on how late Nori got up.
Okay. Just sort of as we're meandering away from the library, just sort of going to ask the group, be like, so are we. And this again is sort of a group discussion, like quiet enough to where not people outside are going to hear, but like loud enough to where everyone in the group can sort of at least understand what's being discussed. But so like, are we leaving at this point, or are we staying? Like, what is the plan here? Because if we're leaving, I don't feel right just up and abandoning the house. Like, I'll leave them a letter, something along those lines. I'll leave my robes, and just I will give a true reasoning for me personally as to why I'm leaving. I just don't like the idea of me up and leaving after sort of committing to this, even in as brief of a stint as it was.
Yeah, Frog is gonna suggest that we leave right after we go meet up with Dolly, because she's not a fan of the threatening Cassiopeia and scary going to her scary house vibes, so she's gonna suggest we leave right away.
You'd also have to convince Dolly to take you somewhere. As far as you know, she's just coming to visit, but from what you know about her chaotic history, I don't imagine any of you would have thoughts of her having reservations, but right now,
I mean,
like, she doesn't even know that you know she's coming. It was supposed to be a surprise.
well, even if she doesn't want to take us anywhere, we can still go by foot.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you're
Yeah.
playing, like, right after Dolly, just to make sure all the characters have the thought. Yeah.
All right, so we'll go forward with that. I'd say we would just stop back as long as no one has anything else they want to do, correct?
Nori didn't.
Oh, we're ready.
Okay. So, having consensus with the group, Cass is going to lead them back to the house just to sort of get everything in order there really quick. But on the way, Cass is going to stop just at a quick general goods store, just to pick up some few things before he leaves. And one thing he will make sure to grab is just a bottle of wine, not like a top shelf, but like a good bottle of wine. And he's going to sneak that into his cloak after getting it, and then just Just some general foods, just to have to bring with us, so we're not going completely unprepared to visit Dolly.
Sure. And Frog, are you also grabbing a bottle of wine?
Oh, we all know what happened last time she did that.
Cass sees Frog come in and just sort of turns her around and pushes her out, being like, "I got it. Let's just go."
If you were looking, Frog, there's nothing as good as the Dragon Breath wine you got last time, but you could find something Dolly would enjoy if you did not take Cass's lead of stepping out of the store.
Okay. Yeah, she would step out of the store.
Okay, cool. Then yeah, you
And-
all.
As we're walking back, Cass is gonna just slide the bottle out of his robe and just give it to Frog, being like, "We just need to be able to have her help us leave. So do what you will with this."
And you all make your way to the beachfront with a dismissive letter, your robes nicely folded, and yeah, not officially checked out. So if somehow things go bad and you need to stay in town, you can make it back and no one will even notice. But you make your way to the beach, where you see, after about 10 minutes or so, well, you see it, but it takes about 10 minutes to get there, just a pirate ship sailing its way in. The people sitting in the sanctioned part of the beach are not terrified, but not enjoying this, because they've never had a pirate ship dock in their shore before. There's not even a dock for it. So they all kind of are bustling about with a bit of confusion, a bit of like, is this okay? Granted, nobody's called them pirates in forever. They're all privateering and working under the crown in official capacity. But to whatever extent anyone believes that everyone in Bosun's Bounty is working under the crown in an official capacity varies by the person. But after those long 10 minutes, they get to shore. You see, especially Frog, the Dolly O'Toole doesn't find a dock, just slides straight up into the sand, and you see Dolly standing right at the helm of it, pointing down, going, "Aye, how'd you know I'd be here?"
Frog will very excitedly kind of run up towards the ship. Obviously, she cannot get on the ship, but run up towards it and be like, "Julian told me. I'm so excited you're here."
You can't tell that bard anything and expect it to be a secret, now can ye? Well, I heard you were having a rough time, and when you wrote your last letter, you said you were excited to meet, but I wasn't sure when we would be able to, and I knew I could get here in but a day by the boat, and thought, hey, I'm going to go see her. It's been too long. You all seem well. None of you are dead. I told you not to die when you left, and you haven't died, so congrats on at least holding up that end of our bargain, but how are you should come on board, and we'll throw down a rope ladder to allow them. She'd look at Seth and Alto and be like, new additions? Are they you coming along? What's their deal?
Yeah, they're with us.
Cool. Welcome aboard there with us.
Frog will not correct that.
And the five of you climb the rope ladder onto the deck of the Dolly O'Toole. It looks very much the same as the last time you were here. I think the only noticeable change you'd see is that there is a halfling that is up at the wheel, learning how to be standing as like a second or third in command.
Is it Midge?
It is Midge.
Amazing. She's grown so much. We're so proud of her.
Yes. Yeah, she's... we all know, and she knows it's mostly because of ceremony, but she tries hard, and I would like to reward that on the ship. And you see Midge going, "Oh, Miss Frog, hello. It's been so long. And Miss Nori and Cass, hello. Thank you again for your jacket. It still does not fit well, but I'm glad that you gave it to me. I'm very thank you also. I know that you paid for my promotion, so thank you very much for that as well. It's been a long time, but I can tie knots now, and they work. And I stabbed a guy. I killed him. It worked."
Nori is gonna go up to Midge and pat her on her back, even though it may be a little bit of a reach for Nori, and just say,
No, you are she's the same size as Frog, like 2 or 3 inches taller than Nori.
Okay, perfect. So she'll still go up to her and pat her on the back and say, I am so proud of you, Midge. That is amazing. I can't wait to hear more. And go in for a hug if Midge would give her a hug.
Oh, of course Midge is giving you a hug. So fast.
And
Alto was gonna say to Dolly, is hi, we're not there with us. My name is Alto, and this is my brother Seth. He can't really talk, but he knows all that's going on. Is it common to be celebrating killing people on your ship? Is that something we should we start killing people? Hi, um, nice to meet you. And Dolly in her typical Dolly fashion. I mean, if it's someone that's worth dying, it's someone that's worth dying, and there are lots of people around us that are worth dying all the time. Welcome to have you on board. My name is Captain Dolly O'Toole, and you can call me that. And then, Cass, what were you going to say?
sort of following the interaction that Nori had with Midge, because Midge is at the back of the boat, yeah?
Midge is up by the ship wheel, yeah.
Wouldn't the wheel be at the back of the boat?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sort of following the little hug, Cass will go just like put his hand on her head, like just like mess up her hair a little bit and be like, those are amateur numbers. We got to get that number up, and just sort of smirk and walk away.
Well, if I recall, the last time we kind of went out together, I offered to slice up a body and hide it in pieces in a barrel, and you had a pretty adverse reaction, so it seems like lots of things have changed in the past couple of months that maybe we need to talk about.
That sort of just reflects back on that conversation, just gets sort of a grim look on his face again, being like, right, forgot that happened. And just gonna sit on the back of the ship at this point, just sort of letting everyone converse.
Well, it was meant to be a surprise that I was coming to see, but, what do we want to do? You all seem rather packed up. Are you hoping to run away, or do you bring all of your stuff with you everywhere you go now? We can, if you just want to, like, get offshore a little, we can go for a nice little cruise, but, I wouldn't mind if we went and saw the sights in town, but I know, my reputation precedes me, and I'm not sure my reputation in this town. The church and I have never quite seen eye to eye with the whole we don't believe in their little thing, and we still have to worship the sea gods to, stay alive. And also, I'm simply better than they will ever be, so if we want to go in town, we can, but we don't need to.
Nori, having heard this, will go up to Captain Dolly and say, Captain, you have no idea how judgmental these people are. I agree. And she'll just like scoff away.
Yeah, Frog will jump in and be like, "We're ready to leave if you wouldn't mind. We're trying to get out of here."
Yeah. Got a destination in mind, or are you trying to just go?
I mean, Cass just from the back of the boat being like, it's not like we need to leave right this second type thing, like drop everything, but it's like we should probably get going. I'm not sure if there's any specific destination in mind, but if we want to just sort of sail around for a little bit, maybe give you and Frog a chance to catch up, because as she said, it's been a rough few days here. We could always do that, maybe have dinner. Is there anywhere else around here you would suggest going, just from your experiences?
No.
And as Cass is saying this, Cass is looking at Crescent Isles, just sort of noticing it in the distance slightly.
Let's see if Dolly catches that. And also, Midge has grown a lot. Let's see if Midge catches that. They both do. Midge. Because Dolly going, no. There's nowhere I'd recommend. It's the open ocean. They don't quite have the best seafood. I mean, they have great seafood if you know how to cook it, but there's nowhere to go for dinner on the open ocean. But Midge, watching your eye, goes, oh, Mr. Cass, do you have somewhere you'd like to be over there? It's a nice little sandbank we could go visit. I've never been there, but I've seen pictures and it looks like a moon, and the moon is very nice, and we could go visit. We could visit the moon isles together if everyone is okay with it, and if Captain Dolly is okay with it happening.
Cass just sort of looks amongst the group, just see if at this point we have nowhere else to really go. Just want to get out of here. Is everyone fine with this?
Nori's just gonna be scoffing in the corner and notating in her journal all the things that have been going on the past couple days, and just say, "Yeah, sure, whatever you want, Cass."
And what are some of the
Sure.
things Nori's notating?
Nori is going to be writing about how there's a lack of coffee in the city and how it's kind of illegal to have coffee, and she thinks that it's really dumb because in the Feywild, all food and drink is welcome. She's also going to say how she loves everyone and accepts everyone for who they are. She feels a little sad that they won't just accept her, even though she doesn't or believe in their god.
So it's a
And
Nori
they
sob story from Nori's perspective.
Yes,
Okay, cool.
110%.
Yep. Then Cass, what were you going to say?
At this point, I mean, Cass just gonna, like I said, just sort of say like, yeah, that's fine, and just slowly like pace away from Nori, seeing that she's just perturbed more than usual, just to give her space, and make his way over to Dolly and just ask if on the ship if there is any coffee by chance.
We could make some. I feel like we have coffee beans somewhere down below, and if nothing else, we could always, we can make something out of something. We could give you glasses of rum if you just want to feel warm. That's not Dolly. We can give you glasses of rum if you want to feel warm.
With that, be like, as long as I have your permission, I may just go to the kitchen and just sort of peruse, if that's fine with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be in there for a couple of minutes, hours. How long are we thinking? Making direct eye contact with Frog. Before you all go your way, my brother and I have never been on a ship. Is there any way we can help? Is there anything you need us to do, or is there anything we can do without being properly trained? I think what I think Dolly would say, no, our ship is quite well oiled, and I believe we haven't quite fully met, and I'm not sure your entire situation here, but I do think if you were to be helping, it would be quite appreciated, but I do think it would quite be in the way. If this is your first time on a ship, how about you take a seat and just get used to the experience, and you'll see Sephanelto kind of go off, probably over by Nori, seeing that it's like a spot people sit, would go over. And Nori, just with your intuition, you would see that Seph's a little sad that Frog is about to head off with someone else. Not in any romantic way, but just in like a way that someone's attention is taking away the person he can talk to.
Yeah.
But-
As Dolly is finishing up her conversation with Sephanelto, she'll take the wine bottle in her hand and like display it a little bit, and then start slowly walking towards Dolly's chambers.
Yeah, Dolly wastes no time following.
As before Frog leaves, Cass is just gonna be like at the back of the ship, like staring really intently at her, like fingers on the sides of his head, be like, I know she can talk to me. I don't know if she can hear me though right now.
No, there is no reaction from Frog.
All right, and then at that is just gonna sort of go back to heading down below deck to the kitchen area.
Okay. We're not gonna follow Frog and Dolly.
No.
So I think first we'll follow you as Midge goes with you to the kitchen. Mr. Cass, if you don't mind and it's not too much of a personal thing, what is it about the Isles you want to experience and see?
Um, Sort of looking down at Midge, not really sure if he should be. Not really sure, like, not that he doesn't trust her, but just, like, doesn't know her that well. Just sort of states, to be honest, I don't really know. I know part of me is being drawn there, just not really sure why.
Well, that's certainly interesting, but I'm sure it's only for good reasons, and I'm sure only good things will happen. Nice.
I hope so.
Yeah, and you can kind of just tell that Midge is like very appreciative, but doesn't know how to say it without coming across in like the way that you in the past, maybe you've changed, but you in the past deemed to Midge is a little annoying. So she's just trying to like be by you as a sympathy human, trying to express gratitude without annoying you. As we go back up to Nori, who is sitting as Nori does, but very intuitive to the brothers who have chosen to sit next to you because it seems like the place people sit when not actively engaging on a ship. And you would see that the shore distances itself as Tegan is able to take over control of the ship while Dolly takes over control of the bedchamber, and they start sailing their way to the Crescent Isle. It's going to be about an hour-long destination trip. But yeah, you sit with the brothers as the shore goes away.
Nori will put her notebook away and kind of shake off the self-loathing that she's been allowing herself to partake in, and ask both Seth and Alto how they're feeling. Do they feel a little seasick, or do they feel like they've adjusted to being at the sea pretty well?
You see Alto look up and say, I mean, I feel like if we were standing, it would be a stranger feeling, but the nice part of sitting is that it just gently rocks in a way, which is fine. I feel fine with it. And then you look over and you can't hear him say anything, but you see Seth looking a little like seasick. Like, probably because he eats a lot more than Alto does, and like, when he has something, he'll be the one that's like, even if I'm not hungry anymore, I'm going to make sure I get to eat it. So maybe he overate a little or something, or maybe he just doesn't have his brother's physical constitution, but you see him looking like if a sanguine hue could turn slight shades of green, it would be, as he's sitting there trying to hold himself together. You also just see him looking sad, but Alto says, Seth is having a time of it, but he'll be fine. I don't know if he can get sick. I'm sure we'll be fine. You've never been sick before, right? And after a moment of pause, be like, yeah, he's not been sick in the last while, so we should be fine. Did Frog know these pirates before, and that's why she's the chaotic way she is, or is this something that came about naturally?
Nori would take a moment to respond and say, well, we met Captain Dolly when we did our first kind of little mission together, so to speak, and it's how we met each other, and Captain Dolly really helped us out when we were helping her out, and things kind of just naturally fell its course with both of them. So no, they did not know each other prior to the couple months ago until we met Dolly together.
They seem to have quite the dedication towards each other. I just wasn't sure what the situation was there. Do you mind if we sit with you for... They don't seem to want me getting in the way, and I feel weird not doing things to help. Do you mind if we sit here with you then?
No, of course, please do. Did you like the game we played earlier? We can play it again, or I can teach you a new one, but also please don't feel like you have to indulge. I promise that it's okay. It won't hurt my feelings.
No, we would love to learn a new game. It's been a while since we really had a new person to play a new game with, and we can't be tending to the flowers of your people because we're not there, but it's feels very similar to be learning your culture if we can't be tending to your flowers. So we would love it if you could let us keep learning.
Perfect. And with that, Nori will teach them another childhood simple game that she learned with her brother, and the game should take them about the rest of the time it takes to get to the Crescent Isles.
And yet with that, another like 40 minutes or so pass, and you all feel the gentle rocking of the ocean slow. It never made it to full ocean. You're always still in like coastal waters, but you feel it slow as it comes to more tidal, and you see that you're vastly approaching land, and there's not a lot on the Crescent Isles. There's an outer rim shaped like a crescent moon, and then inside of that outer ring is like a little circular donut-shaped islet. But there is a main town port here. That is where they are going. A town is generous. It's not so much a town as it is a hamlet where people live. They still have a lordship who you all would have met at the wedding. Well, not the wedding, the engagement. The patrician of the Crescent Isles named Nash Suka, who was like not a Triton, but some sort of like sea person. Not quite a sea elf, not quite a Triton. Seems to be somewhere in between, probably through just decades of their families knowing each other. And as the elves left, more Tritons taking over the area. And you would see, not him, but lots of people that have a very similar look to them, as well as lots of tieflings. This seems to be a spot, like tieflings are common all throughout Aelith, but there seems to be like a lot of them gathered here with these Triton-esque people as you make your way towards the town. Yeah, so as you all pull into port, the actual like dock isn't right in town. It's a bit outside of town because the town itself is at the middle of the curve, and it would be kind of hard to land a ship right on the curve. Would you all want to go straight into town? Or, Cass, you would notice as you land, that lantern that's always going, you just start feeling it warm and bright, and would you want to do something to try and follow it?
Yes, but not going to make a big fuss about it. As we approach and Cass is sort of feeling these sensations, the pulses from his lantern. As we approach the docks, Cass sort of keeps note of the sensation and like pulses coming from the lantern, but doesn't draw attention to it. Sort of just helps with the docking procedure as much as he can without being in the way, and sort of is waiting for people to offboard so he can sort of join and then sort of see where the group sort of takes him, and we'll try to split once we get there.
Okay. And Frog emerging from the captain's chambers. How are you doing?
Frog is very happy, nice and chipper. she comes back to the boat, rest of the boat, and she'll just kind of like look around and be like, "Oh, this is where we are now," and then check in on Cass and Nori and the brothers and see how we're all doing.
Sort of as she comes out of the bed chambers, do you look the same? Do you look potentially disheveled?
Maybe a little bit. Not too much like I attempted to put myself back together, but I didn't do a very good job.
You would know that Dolly continues to look impeccable.
Of course. He's never looked any other way.
Sort of seeing this, Kath will just look over and just sort of smirk, and then just sort of leave them to enjoy their time together, and just sort of let them rejoin the group as we are getting closer to dock.
Yeah. I think as you all dock, and Frog, you'd be rejoining as it's docked. Especially like taking that time to try and re-up yourself a bit. Dolly will walk out and say, "Well, if it is a dinner you'd all like to go to, we happen to have a couple of small shanty restaurants in town, and that might be what you were looking for of dinner options. It is only 1 in the afternoon, so I believe it'd probably be lunch more than anything, but if you were looking for that meal cast, we could go into town and acquire that. Crew, you all have the rest of the day off. Do with it what you'd like. Don't make it so that we're not invited back here. And if you don't mind, I'd like to go wherever you all go. It's been so long since we've seen each other. It would be quite a disgrace to leave you again so soon for Jenna. And is gonna just see, like, would you all want to go into town with Dolly for lunch, or what's the plan here?
Yeah, Cass just sort of nods and gives another quick glance and smirk when to Frog when Dolly uses her full name, not the abbreviated version that everyone else uses.
Yeah, Frog is ready to head in to town, get some food.
Nice. Yeah. Midge would be ask, of course. If it's not too much of a bother, am I welcome to join you all as well?
And Nori will
Yeah.
pipe up and say, "Yes, Midge, of course, come with us."
And it's rather a large party already, but we don't know anyone, but we don't know anyone here. Would you rather us stay on the ship, or should we... Can we come to lunch, or should we stay on the ship, or should we go with the crew? And where do we belong right now? Because it's definitely not here.
Hearing that, Cass I'll just go up behind them and just put an arm on like each of their shoulders and just start nudging them in the direction of the where we're gonna get off the ship.
Nice. Frog, you hear in your head, it seems like you belong here. That's all you hear, but just a little quip for you. Well, then you all get off the ship, and you are able to head into town. As you get there, it's like very much like built up of driftwood, of palm trees, of like any natural resource they can find to put these shacks together. There are a couple of buildings that have been around for much longer than anything else that you can see are like made of wood that they've brought over or anything. They're not that far off the mainland. They're only an hour by actual boat, a couple of hours by like rowboat or something. So they have the resources to build up the town, but just not much of it has been spent because they don't really have any need to. Most of the weather that would be like affecting a town like this comes in on the west side of the country, and so they're pretty safe on the east, just kind of having a nice little tropical island retreat. There are a couple of options you could go to for that sort of lunch place. There is a newly opened Pirates Bounty Brunch and Mimosas that you could stop by. There is like a more traditional, like what would be like a fancier fish fry place, or there's just like a general, what seems like a mom and pop style diner. The two that are here you imagine would be good. The Pirates Bounty Brunch and Mimosas, you imagine, well, one, you're surprised, because how the hell did they open a chain all the way out here when nothing seems to have really been added to this town? Strangely, it looks perfectly in place, because their, like, piratical driftwood vibe very much matches the actual authentic appearance of the town, so it's not nearly as out of place as the last couple of times you've seen one. They somehow got a franchise out here, but the other two you'd imagine would be a better dining experience were you to actually want food and not just a place to hang out.
Cass sort of looks to the nicer establishment, just sort of for a true sit-down meal, especially after being a little bit in a meh mood after the past few days. But looks back to the group, primarily Frog, since Nori's still fuming about her treatment in the previous town, just for conference.
Yeah, Frog will look over at you, and then nod her head in the direction of the nicer place.
Nice.
Okay, and with that, like Cass will just sort of lead, knowing that Frog and Dolly are going to take their time, enjoying some time together. And as I'm making my way there, since Nori seems to be hanging with the brothers at this point, I'll just sort of wave Midge up, just to walk with her, just trying to alleviate the situation of her feeling like a burden from in the kitchen. Just trying to be like let's walk. Like, you're not a burden. You're fine.
Oh, yes, well, I didn't think I was a burden, but I did want to make you quite aware of how appreciative I am of everything that you did to elevate, because when we all met, it was no secret that I was sent with you because I was probably getting more in the way than anything else on the ship, but, now I'm not in the way, I mean, because I have a designated spot to stand, but people are much nicer to me, and I have a title, and I know how to tie knots, and I know how to take a dagger, and it's easy because I'm small and people can't see me. I can go up behind them and then jump up and slice their throat open before they even know I'm there, and it causes them to be a lot more quiet than when some of the big people try and stop them. And that is progress that I owe to you.
Cass, not knowing how to respond to that appropriately, is just going to smile and nod and ask, what is your title now, with all the changes that have been going on?
I am third mate of the upper deck.
Interesting. So that being said, I noticed, I feel like one quintessential part of being a pirate midge is having a very fancy hat. I've noticed you don't have a very fancy hat.
Am I a bad pirate for not having a hat? Only Dolly gets a hat.
Absolutely not. But I will have to talk with Dolly and see if we can arrange something for you to get a hat.
Dolly, hearing that out of just the peripheral, you just feel her gaze staring through the back of your head. But she does not break her conversation with Frog. Speaking of, what is that conversation with Frog?
Frog at this point would be telling her a little bit about what's been going on. I know she kind of did in some of the letters and whatnot. And Julian's communication with her probably. She's a little bit filled in, but she'll go ahead and let her know of the whole thing, including Cassiopeia's interaction with Cass and the weirdness in her scary house in Mary's Rise.
It's in the land between Elara and Mary's Rise. It's not officially in Undertown.
Yes. Yeah. And how she can now communicate with Seth. And that maybe her dead mom is inside her as a ghost. We don't really know.
That is quite a ghost tale. That's something to learn for later. Yeah, and you just see Dolly start asking herself a couple questions in her head that I don't think you want to know what they are, but yeah, you just see Dolly thinking a couple things through. Well, I think it's time for that lunch, ain't it? And we'll, not pick up the pace, but definitely match Cass's pace of getting towards the restaurant. And with Nori and the brothers bringing up the rear, having been talking for a while, I imagine it's rather quiet unless Nori has any new topics to introduce the situation.
Nori will ask the brothers if anyone has ever cast Sending to try to talk to Seth and see if she could.
You're welcome to try. We've never had anyone that would know us or have any need to really contact us, so no one's ever tried, and I mean, the few people that knew of the situation post-war would only assume to contact me, but you're welcome to give it a try.
Nori will go ahead and...
you.
Yeah, so Nori will go ahead and cast Sending and just say, "Hey, Seth, can you hear this?"
Well, clarification question again. Do you mean sending or message? Are you spending a 3rd level spell slot or are you using a cantrip?
I will cast message.
Okay. With that, you don't seem to get any response back.
How many do I have? Oh, man, okay. Nori will say, "Darn it! maybe I can try something else tomorrow.
I mean, yeah, you're welcome to try as much as you want, but I mean, I'm not sure anyone should be getting their hopes up, and I know my brother is over the moon enough as it is that he has a new friend that, I mean, you're all his friends. You're our friends, but he's more outward about it. And I know it's just very nice that he has the one, and if we could somehow make it for all of you, well, that would be a lot. In a good way, a lot, but thank you for trying, is what I'm long-windedly trying to say. And I think with that is when you'd all get to the place. It's a very, like, shack set-up tavern looking thing. They have a lot of, like, fresh fishes that are served in, like, a various platters. They got nothing that isn't fish. The place is just fish dishes. But they also have drinks and stuff. They've got, like, some saltwater ales. They've got some rums. They've got a lot of, like, tropical coconut drinks. And then they got a lot of fish things. I think as you're ordering and walking in, the main thing that you would see, other than, like, it has, like I said, a couple of Triton folk, a couple of tieflings, the tavern keeper in the back going, "Oh, are you all the mainland group that have been sent to deal with the shark people problem? Is that you?"
Cass looks back at the group, looks at Dolly, seeing if anyone is recognizing what is being asked.
I mean, the brothers certainly not. Dolly and Midge don't seem to, because they're only here because you were like, let's go there. So no one recognizes what's going on here, no?
I don't believe so, but since we're here, why don't you inform us what's going on?
Oh, yeah, so over by, and this, like, you see this, like, very long, like, almost seaweed-like hair Triton woman running the tavern. She's got, like, a heavy set to herself, like, she carries her weight well, but she's just standing behind, serving drinks and looking up, going, there's been, for, like, the last week or so, over by, the inner circle area, I don't know how well you know the Isles, the small island, where that old shrine thing is, for whatever reason, some shark people have been showing up and trying to make sure that no one's able to access it. I don't know why anyone would. The thing doesn't open, but these shark people are trying to claim the island for their own or some nonsense, but it has made it hard for us to row from one end of the isle to the other without having to go the long way, and so we sent help to get that cleared up so we can, expedite travel from one end to the other.
What
And-
defines a shark person?
Well, they're like, so we are fish people. We are Tritons. We look like fish. They are us, but sharks.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
take it you're not very much used to the coast.
No.
Yeah. Nothing about you screams, I feel comfortable in this environment, but that's fine. You're welcome here anyway.
Thanks.
Anywho, you said they're trying to claim it for who exactly?
We don't know. We haven't tried talking with them. Every time we get in the way, they send a shark after our boat.
Understood. Can you just, in general, like, which direction is this? Like you said, we're not exactly from here, but where, just sort of pointing in the air, like, where would you say we'd have to go to run into this issue?
Well, right now, we're on this outer ring. As you see, we're on the part that's shaped like a moon. If you go at all inland, you'll get water. And then if you go at all further inland, you'll hit the main islet in the middle. And then that has various small spots people like to hang out with. I wouldn't say settlements, but it has a shack or two a person or a family lives in. And then in the middle of that, in that small ring of water that you may have seen on a map or you may not, I have no assumptions of what you would know here, there's that old, like, sea shrine that's been dead for years and isn't sure, like, it's not assigned to any gods or goddesses as far as we know. They're just, so go in is the best answer I can give you. Don't go out to the open sea, go in towards the mainland, where I assume you came from.
Understood. Thank you. with that, sort of looking, is everyone eating? Is everyone done at this point?
I mean, she would have like said this as she's serving things up. So yeah, could be like she gives you this information, then you all sit to lunch.
Nori would have asked Cass walking in if he wanted to have like a fish eating contest, since Nori met Cass through like eating a huge meal at the tavern that they first walked into, or like some type of like eating, not contest for speed, but like mass of eating things, of eating dinner. Sorry.
It's lunch, but yeah.
Eating lunch. Thank you.
Castle just look real incredulously at Nori and be like, no part of me wants to have a mass eating contest of fish, especially in this fine establishment, like openly like going to like the shack type demeanor, being like, no, we're not doing this.
Nori will say, Cass, you owe me. You weirdly tied me up in front of the rest of our party. That you owe me this.
Okay, well,
you owe me this.
Out of context, that sounds very bad, especially around people we don't know. And did anyone look oddly when she said that?
I don't think the brothers were awake. I think they went to bed before you came back. So, yes, everyone except for Frog gives you a strange look as Nori announces this. And Dolly will go, oh, has your relationship changed enough that now we're just tying each other up out in the open? Is that what we're doing?
Nori, having no conceptual understanding of what else she said could appear as, she'll say no and try and explain the situation that happened, and then say, Cass, you owe me, and try and persuade him.
I mean, if Cass isn't going to do it, it's up to Cass whether or not he's going to do it. Doesn't matter how persuasive you be.
Darn it.
You know what? Fine. Persuade.
Oh, okay. 17 plus 19? 19.
Sort of just wanting this awkward, very awkward now conversation to end. Kaz is just going to be like, okay, you know what? Yeah, sure. Let's stop talking.
Okay, cool. Both of you. Con? I feel like this is a con save? What are we feeling for our fish eating contest?
I was gonna say performance.
It's not performance.
No.
This is not a performance environment.
Fine, we can do con.
Yeah.
I'd say either con or dexterity for speed if you're just trying to do math and not keep it down, but I feel like con makes the most sense.
And you said saving throw?
Yeah. This is an affront to the system.
5.
7.
Neither of you do well. Tell me what happens.
Nori, feeling really confident in herself, just starts going in with a really big fish, because I clearly don't know aquatic life, but a really big fish, a swordfish, and just starts eating, and then is like looking at Cass very vindictively, being like, I will be him. I can do this. But realizing that the swordfish was coated in a really thick sauce, she just starts slowing down as she notices Cass continuing a little bit longer than her.
And all the while, like, Gaz is just eating at a casual, like, normal human-sized pace. Like, he's not eating fast at all. But sort of seeing, like, Nori start struggling after about 5 minutes. not really paying attention, Cass is just going to start choking on a fish bone, therefore stopping his eating of this fish.
You just hear Midge pipe up. Oh, some things don't change with they still have that fun thing going on. It's quite nice. I'm not going to eat my fish fast, if that's okay with everyone. I'm going to eat at a normal speed, and everyone agrees with Midge. And the rest of the people here eat like people would, and discuss the thing. Dolly's like, we all know I don't need to be paid. I've got all the money in the world I could possibly need, but if you think you need to go to, convince some mayor or some problem to, pay you, I'm fine to stay the night, to check out these shark people. I imagine they're no issue for anyone, or if, we have no interest and they have another crew coming, we could let them handle it. Do any of you have a reason to want to go to the islet, or are we doing the shark people? What's the plan? This is a vacation for me, so I'm happy to do whatever y'all want to do, and they don't, and points to the brothers, they don't quite seem to be the ones leading this expedition, but I do like them. They're quite nice, but they don't seem to be the ones leading this, so I have a feeling the three of you have somehow once again convinced a kindly group of folk to follow ye into whatever the problem you have caused. I think Elton would step up between your fence, saying, technically we were escorting them, and they're not problematic, they're just strange. But we just kind of live on our own and watch some flowers and make sure that people are kind to the flowers. And so this is a huge step up and a huge change. But yeah, if we need to, we're quite skilled at hitting things. If we need to hit some shark people, I've never done it before, but I imagine my brother and I could take them out in a moment or two.
Frog, after listening to that, is going to be like, yeah, they probably could. They are actually pretty skilled.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't fishing for a compliment, but it's the one thing we do good.
And hearing this side conversation, Cass is just going to be like still hacking up a lung, trying to get this stupid fish bone out of his throat, and be like, I would like to go. I'd like to go investigate if possible. And this is a bit more urgent. Not urgent, but there's a little bit more decision behind his choice there than normal.
Enough that you think someone would pick up on, or just enough that's like a change in speech pattern?
Enough that someone could easily pick up on it. Like he's not trying to hide it by any means. It's just definitely something he's more interested in compared to some of the things that we've been doing.
And I think the two other players here, Frog and Nori, and Alto, Steph's not as perceptive, but the three of you would notice that immediately. So, if you wanted to engage in any way, that you would notice the change in Cass immediately.
Yeah, Frog would probably take note of it. Frog would probably take note of it and then just not say anything, but keep it in mind to maybe bring up later.
Nori, having still recovering from her lovely eating adventure, will very slowly say, "Is this something you really want to do, Cass?"
Cass just sort of looks up and just nods softly and is like, I would prefer we would go over there, yes.
Nori will then respond, "For you, Cass, I'll do most anything. And that sounds good to me." And just like pass out for a couple minutes on her plate.
The tavern owner will speak up. If you are planning to take down the shark people, we can cancel the other crew. Tell them that they got here too late, whatever. we have resources if you need them. If you all feel you're a capable enough group to do it, act upon your own volition. There's no contract written down anywhere, but if you're not dead and you come back, maybe we can help you out in some way. If you're interested. I'll at least give you a free meal out of it. That will be our verbal arrangement. If nothing else, you'll get another free meal. You're paying for this one. But if you do come back and you're not dead from the from the shark people, then I'll let you eat one meal for free, and anything else that might be arranged by the town. I cannot speak for them.
Okay. Frog will leave enough cash on the table to cover the bill for everyone.
Nice. You all head out to find some fish people. And so I think that is where we will wrap up this episode. Thank you everyone for playing. Thank you audience for listening. We're gonna see what happens when we try and find some shark people. It'll be exciting. But before we do, we would like to thank you all and encourage you to find us all across the internet. You can find us at helpactionneeded@gmail.com if you want to write in and tell us some of your favorite things, or just write us a letter. I read them. They exist. You can send them. I'll read it. Or if you want to find us on the internet, we are Help Action Needed on Instagram and Threads, as well as over on Twitch if you want to see some live plays of things happening or some different TTRPG content that some of us are guesting on other channels. Yeah. Thank you, audience, for listening. Thank you, players, for playing. And as always, goodbye.